Pakistan says it is retaliating after accusing India of striking 3 of its air bases overnight, including one close to the capital, Islamabad. Both countries have blamed each other for the violence.
Pakistan's naval forces found themselves trapped in a sudden, silent siege that lasted 3 days. 36 warships under the Cold Start-driven Operation Synindor, led by the INS Vikrant, appeared just outside Karachi Port, projecting power without a single shot fired. This was not just a show of force, it was a demonstration of coordinated multi-domain warfare, supported by advanced systems like the NC-3I combat network and the GSAT-7R satellite. The question remains, how did India achieve such a precise and restrained operation? And what made this possible after decades of criticism over slow military responses? India's military establishment faced a persistent operational vulnerability: slow mobilization. Nowhere was this more evident than in the aftermath of the 2001 Parliament attack. The response was hampered by nearly 2 weeks of build-up, allowing Pakistan to reinforce its defences and international actors to scrutinise India's intentions. The result was a loss of initiative, with India's options constrained by both adversarial preparation and mounting diplomatic pressure. These delays were not just logistical. They undermined deterrence and exposed critical gaps in India's strategic posture. Recognising the gravity of this problem, Indian planners began to rethink the country's entire approach to military readiness. The solution took shape as the Cold Start Doctrine. Unlike the traditional strategy that relied on full-scale mobilization, Cold Start prioritized rapid, integrated strikes. Small, forward-deployed units launching precision raids before Pakistan could mobilize or draw in international pressure. This shift was not limited to the army or land warfare. In parallel, the Navy quietly reshaped its own doctrine to mirror this readiness at sea, ensuring that maritime forces could be deployed just as swiftly and seamlessly as their land and air counterparts. From its inception, Cold Start was conceived as a multi-domain doctrine, requiring tight coordination across branches. The doctrine's core was built on the premise that India could no longer afford to be reactive. Instead, it needed to credibly threaten swift, decisive action that would leave adversaries with little time to prepare or appeal for outside intervention. Achieving this meant reimagining force structure, logistics, and command systems. Cold Start demanded that units be stationed closer to the border, equipment prepositioned for immediate use, and decision-making cycles drastically shortened. The emphasis on speed and precision was not just about striking quickly, but about doing so with accuracy and restraint, especially along the densely populated and politically sensitive India-Pakistan tier. Executing such a doctrine presented formidable challenges. The complexity of synchronizing land, air, and naval forces in a high-stakes environment required cutting-edge communication systems and real-time intelligence. The risks were significant. A rapid strike could escalate quickly if not managed with discipline and control. Planners had to ensure that operations would be tightly coordinated, with each branch understanding and anticipating the movements of the others. This level of integration was unprecedented in the region and demanded years of preparation, training, and technological investment. For years, Cold Start remained largely untested, its viability the subject of debate. Yet, the doctrine's real test arrived in May 2025 with Operation Synindor. This operation marked the first large-scale demonstration of Cold Start's principles in practice. The Indian Navy, leveraging the doctrine's emphasis on speed and integration, executed a strategic maneuver that placed 36 warships in a silent blockade outside Karachi Port. Within hours, Pakistan's naval assets were trapped, unable to move without risking escalation or exposure. Operation Synindor was not simply a display of force. It was a calculated demonstration of India's ability to project power with restraint, using technological superiority and precise coordination to achieve strategic objectives without crossing the threshold into open conflict. The operation's success did more than validate the Cold Start Doctrine. It redefined the expectations for military responses in the region, signaling a new era in India's approach to deterrence. The events that unfolded during those 3 days off Karachi would come to be studied as a masterclass in naval strategy, an operation that paralysed an entire fleet without a shot fired and left both adversaries and international observers reassessing India's capabilities. Operation Synindor stands as a study in modern naval strategy, defined by the silent application of overwhelming force. The Indian Navy's deployment of 36 warships, anchored by the INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya, was not simply a show of strength, but a calculated move to project control over the Arabian Sea and bottle up the Pakistani fleet inside Karachi Port. No missiles were fired, yet the effect was unmistakable. Pakistan's most valuable naval assets remained trapped, unable to sortie without risking immediate detection and escalation. Central to this operation was India's command of the information domain. The INS Vikrant, operating as the fleet's nerve centre, coordinated the movements of destroyers, frigates, submarines and aircraft. The network-centric command, control, communication and intelligence NC3I system linked every asset in real time, ensuring seamless synchronization. The GSAT-7R geostationary military satellite kept an unblinking watch over the entire Indian Ocean region, providing persistent surveillance and guaranteeing that any attempt by Pakistan to break the blockade would be detected and countered before it began. Carrier-based MiG-29K fighter jets and Kamov Ka-31 AEW helicopters extended both strike and detection reach above the waves. The MiG-29Ks, adapted for carrier operations, patrolled the airspace, while the Ka-31s provided airborne early warning, expanding the fleet's situational awareness. On the surface, Kolkata-class destroyers formed the backbone of the task force, equipped with BrahMos cruise missiles for offensive operations and Barak 8 surface-to-air missiles for fleet defense. Shivalik and Talwar-class frigates, optimized for stealth and rapid response, added layers of protection and flexibility. Below the surface, Kalvari-class Scorpion submarines patrolled the approaches to Karachi, their stealth profiles making them nearly undetectable and effectively sealing off escape routes. Boeing P-8, the Neptune maritime patrol aircraft, operating in concert with satellites and drones, maintained a constant watch, using advanced sensors to track every vessel in and around the port. The siege's psychological impact was immediate. The Pakistani Navy, aware of its technological and positional disadvantage, faced a strategic paralysis. The fleet remained bottled up, unable to challenge Indian dominance or even maneuver without exposing itself to overwhelming firepower. This restraint, demonstrating the ability to inflict damage without resorting to open conflict, sent a clear message about India's control over the maritime domain. As the operation unfolded, the information space became a secondary battleground. Social media channels flooded with false reports, including a widely circulated video of a Philadelphia airport crash misrepresented as a missile strike on Karachi Port. The Indian military, however, maintained its focus and discipline, refusing to be drawn into reactive narratives. This information warfare dimension highlighted India's ability to shape not only the battle space, but also the broader strategic narrative, reinforcing restraint and credibility. Executing such a complex operation required flawless coordination. 36 warships, submarines, aircraft, and drones operated as a single integrated force, guided by real-time intelligence and robust command structures. The success of Operation Synindor validated years of doctrinal refinement and technological investment, demonstrating that India could establish and maintain maritime superiority without crossing the threshold into open conflict. With Pakistan's fleet paralysed, what could possibly break India's grip? Defending against a large-scale retaliation required India's air defence network to function at its highest level of integration and efficiency. On May 9, 2025, Pakistan launched an unprecedented barrage, over 600 drones and missiles, aimed at critical air bases and infrastructure in Punjab and Jammu. This attack marked a significant escalation, combining conventional missile strikes with dense swarms of drones, and tested the limits of India's defensive preparation. The outcome would determine whether India could maintain its strategic initiative or risk being drawn into a broader conflict. India's response relied on a multi-layered air defence grid, the product of years of investment in both foreign and indigenous systems. The S-400 Triumph, supplied by Russia, formed the outermost shield. During the assault, the S-400 neutralized a Pakistan-launched Shaheen nuclear-capable missile, intercepting the threat before it could endanger key assets. The system's advanced radar and tracking capabilities allowed it to engage a range of aerial threats, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and aircraft, at distances up to 400 kilometers. This interception demonstrated the S-400's value as a deterrent against strategic escalation. Supporting the S-400, the Akash missile system provided a robust medium-range layer. Developed by India's Defence Research and Development Organisation, Akash was tasked with intercepting incoming cruise missiles and aircraft. Its performance during the Pakistani strike was decisive. Akash batteries engaged and destroyed a significant number of incoming threats, reducing the risk to critical infrastructure. Only after the successful defense did Dr. Prada Ramaro, a principal developer of the Akash, reflect on the moment's significance. "It is the happiest day of my life, seeing my baby work so accurately and beautifully in shooting down incoming enemy aerial targets," he said, describing his emotional reaction to the system's effectiveness and the pride it brought to India's domestic defence capability. For close-range, fast-moving threats, particularly the swarms of drones that formed a core part of Pakistan's attack, India relied on the Israeli SPYDER air defence system. SPYDER's quick reaction capability and mobility allowed it to counter drone swarms and low-flying projectiles, neutralizing hundreds of targets that could otherwise have overwhelmed static defenses. The system's rapid deployment across vulnerable sectors ensured that even the most agile threats were intercepted before reaching their objectives. India's naval assets also played a critical role in the defense. Warships equipped with the Barrage 8 missile system, jointly developed by India and Israel, secured airspace and coastal corridors, intercepting projectiles that targeted the fleet and maritime infrastructure. This integration of naval and land-based air defence systems provided a seamless shield, ensuring that key assets remained protected across multiple domains. Advanced radar and early warning systems underpinned the entire defensive operation, allowing for real-time coordination between the S-400, Akash, SPYDER and Barrage 8 layers. The ability to track and prioritize threats from multiple vectors was essential to the network's success. Nearly all of the over 600 drones and missiles launched by Pakistan were intercepted before causing significant damage, demonstrating the maturity and effectiveness of India's layered air defense. India now faced a choice: press the advantage or consolidate its gains. Operation Synindor signalled a decisive evolution in India's regional security strategy. By holding a 3-day blockade off Karachi without escalating to open conflict, India demonstrated the operational depth of the Cold Start Doctrine and its ability to project naval power with restraint. The operation's precision and control sent a clear deterrent message not only to Pakistan, but also to China, underlining India's readiness to preempt and disrupt regional threats. This demonstration of sustained maritime dominance highlighted a defense posture that is proactive, disciplined, and technologically integrated. If you appreciate deep dives into modern military strategy, like and subscribe for more analyses of how doctrines shape real-world operations.